Honestly, I can't believe this movie's almost 25 years old already. I just can't. Okay, everybody, today we're going all the way back to 1988 to look at a little motion picture, well, a big motion picture that has gone on to be one of the big-time, all-time cult classics ever. You know what it is? It's just the way it goes. We are talking about The Big Lebowski. Anyway, before we go any further, before we dig into this gem any farther, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
Let me explain something to you. I am not Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. You know, that or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Are you employed, Mr. Lebowski?
Employed?
You like sex, Mr. Lebowski?
Is this your only ID? You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude.
Your name's Lebowski.
Jeff Lebowski, the other Lebowski, the millionaire. I received this ransom note this morning.
This is the bummer, man.
They want you to take the money and act as courier.
What the hell is this?
My dirty undies, dude. The whites.
Let's take that hill.
Why should we settle for 20 grand when we can keep the entire million?
I know you're mixed up in all this.
Playing one side against the other in bed with everybody.
Blow them.
Huh? Fabulous stuff. What?
Who's sitting on $1 million?
We want some money.
Sitting in the trunk of our car.
Where's my damn money?
Say, dude, where is your car?
Who's got your undies, Walter?
This is a very complicated case, Maude. You know, a lot of ins, a lot of outs.
Is this your homework, Larry?
And I would like my undies back.
A lot of strands to keep in my head, man. Bro! Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage there, huh?
I like your style, dude.
I have no choice but to tell these bums to do whatever is necessary to recover their money from you.
They were Nazis, dude?
They were nihilists, man. They kept saying they believed in nothing. You figured, oh, here's a loser, you know, a deadbeat.
Well, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
You cannot drag this negative energy into the tournament.
Jeffrey,
Aw,
love me.
that's my robe.
I'm throwing rocks tonight.
It don't matter to Jesus.
Okay, this motion picture was directed by Joel Coen. Now, a lot of times it just gets labeled as the Coen brothers, but it is what it is. You kind of give it the nod, Joel Coen. Whatever, we'll just call it what it is. Anyway, let's take a look back. We're talking about movies like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? We're talking about Raising Arizona, which if you've never watched, you've missed out. Fargo, of course. No Country for Old Men. True Grit. Intolerable Cruelty. Blood Simple, Miller's Crossing, Burn After Reading, Barton Fink. So you get the idea where he's coming from, you get the idea of what he's done, and what more can I say than that? Everything I listed is basically classic or semi-classic. Take it for what it is. Playing Jeffrey the Dude Lebowski, Jeff Bridges. Let's just do this. We're talking he was in King Kong. He was in The Last Picture Show, and Bad Company, and Stay Hungry, and Thunderbolt, and Lightfoot, and Heaven's Gate, and Tron, and Carpenter's Starman, and Against All Odds, and Jagged Edge, and Tucker, a Man in His Dream, and Blown Away, which I just reviewed not too long ago, and Seabiscuit, and Tron, and Crazy Heart. Did I say Tron? Twice? I can't remember. And Crazy Heart. Anyway, so big career, massive career, actually. Been in game for a very long time, since the 1970s. I think he started something, starred, but he was in something. It was just a little baby, too, with his mom and dad. So, it is what it is. Been around a long time. Let's keep moving. Playing Walter in simply the best role he's ever been in. John Goodman. Let's go. We're talking about, of course, he's been in little things like Arachnophobia. He has been in The Big Easy, and Raising Arizona, and The Wrong Guys, and Revenge of the Nerds even, and Barton Fink, and The Babe, and The Flintstones, and tons and tons and tons of voice work. And of course he was on Roseanne, and whatever they call it now, the Connors or something, now that they let her go, or stupid shit, whatever. It is what it is. That's where he's been. Hey, yeah, he even had a little teeny role in Chud. Remember? I don't know if you remember. He was one of the cops at the bar. Chud. Playing Maude, Julianne Moore. Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's go. We're talking about she has been in little things like Benny and June, and Shortcuts, and The Fugitive, and Body of Evidence, and Boogie Nights, and The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Magnolia, Hannibal, The Hours, Freedom Land, The Hunger Games, Kingsman, 9 Months. So again, big track record, been in a lot of shit, just the way it is. Playing Donny! Oh yeah, Steve Buscemi. Let's talk about this. We're talking about he has been in little things like Escape from L.A. He was in Vibes, and Miller's Crossing, and Barton Fink, and Reservoir Dogs, and Billy Bathgate, and The Hudsucker Proxy, and Airheads, and Desperado, and Fargo, and Con Air, and Grown Ups, and Ghost World, 28 Days with Sandra Bullock. Anybody even remember that? It is what it is. Whatever, he was in it. We're talking the one and only Mr. Buscemi. Come on. Who doesn't like Steve Buscemi? Jesus Christ. And of course, there was a ton of other people in this motion picture, and if I spent all day talking about them, I'll be here all damn day. Just ain't got that kind of time. So, let's riddle off some names. We're talking about Dave Huddleston. He was in things like Blazing Saddles and Bad Company. And of course, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Twister, Capote, Almost Famous. Enough said. Tara Reid, you know, American Pie, Urban Legend. John Turturro, Barton Fink, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Sam Elliott, come on, Roadhouse, I already covered him in The Legacy. Ben Gazzara, of course, Roadhouse, also in Capone. And Pete Stormare, of course, Constantine, and Fargo. So, you have, and there's way more people in this too. I mean, like Flea pops up, and what's her name there from the Voices Carry song? What the hell was her name? Oh, why is it falling out of my head? God damn it, it doesn't make a difference. Amy Man? Was that it? Amy Man? Whatever. So you got a lot of people that just pop up in and out of this thing. It is what it is. Faces all over the place. Check it out. You'll see. Okay, we're going to do this really in 90 seconds or less. I'm going to keep this short because the story is so convoluted and ridiculous. And honestly, when you hear my summation, you'll hear that I think the least important thing in this thing is the story. I know that sounds crazy, but it is what it is. 90 seconds or less, so keep it short, fast, entertaining, keep it moving, and get to where you'd much rather be, summation. Is that how it goes? One of those mornings. Anyway, let's do this. Motion picture starts out, you got Mr. Jeffrey Lebowski, a.k.a. the Dude Lebowski. He's hanging out in his house when a couple of big buff whatever dudes break into his house, start attacking him, and one of the dudes pees on his carpet. They're looking for cash. They're saying his wife owes some kind of money. He's like, we don't know what's going on. These guys are like, boy, this guy doesn't look like a millionaire. Something doesn't seem right. Well, turns out that there's another Jeff Lebowski. He's a multi-millionaire, big, powerful guy, and he's got some situations going on with his wife. So Jeff says to him, hey, buddy, the dude says to him, I should say, just to clarify, I want a new rug. This dude says, go to hell. Jeff says, okay. Winds up stealing his other rug. Long story, things get rolling. Next thing you know, Lebowski gets hired, well, I should say the dude gets hired, to go out and give the money to these kidnappers, because apparently the real Lebowski's wife, Bunny, gets kidnapped, whatever, and he says, I'm going to hire the dude, whatever, to go and give the ransom money, whatever. But before you know it, then the dude gets kidnapped by the real Jeff Lebowski's sister, who sits there and says, I want my dead mommy's rug back, and my brother's really a bum who's got no money, he's just living off the family trust. Told you, the story gets weird, it gets convoluted. It is what it is. Next thing you know, Walter comes up with an idea. He's like, oh, let's stiff the kidnappers. Let's keep the money. She's probably setting this all up if it's fake. Blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. So they go. They try to screw over the kidnappers. They give them underwear. It is what it is. The guys keep the money, but then the money gets stolen when Jeff's car gets stolen while they're bowling. It is what it is. Next thing you know, the big porn guy, porn mogul, who apparently Bunny was in... Oh, whatever. Long story, she was in porn, and she had this porn mogul, and he's the guy that sent the two dudes in the beginning to the house to piss on the rug, and all this other kind of stuff. He gets, the dude brought to his house, and he drugs him, and the dude goes off on this big Bugsy Berkeley fucking musical extravaganza in his own mind. Shit gets weird. I don't know how to explain it. I told you this motion picture is odd. He gets out of that situation. Next thing you know, he's having sex with Jeff Lebowski, the rich Jeff Lebowski's sister, and she's trying to get pregnant, so she's kind of standing on her head after sex, and he spits out milk and all kinds of... The story in this is just bizarre, and I told you it goes in so many directions it doesn't really matter. But you got a couple of bowlers get mixed up in a scheme about some woman being kidnapped, and all hell breaks loose. That's the goddamn story. I mean, what more can you say? Okay, everybody, does the Big Lebowski work? Yes, the Big Lebowski works. It works in a great way. I mean, it's one of those motion pictures you start watching it, you start laughing, you start having fun, you start feeling good, and you get engulfed in it. It's weird. It's odd. It's one of those motion pictures, kind of like in Napoleon Dynamite. There's parts of it you're watching like, what the hell is going on here, and why do I like this so much? But we'll get to all that later on. Let's get the big three out of the way immediately. First off, the directing. The directing is spot on. The movie looks great. It feels great. It is well done. You know a Coen production. You know what you're going to get. This is more of the same. Top notch. Enough said. The writing. The writing is what makes this motion picture, folks. I'm telling you, it's the dialogue between the characters. Much like in a Tarantino flick where you're like, I almost don't give a shit what's going on right now. I just want to watch these people talk. That's what's going on in this motion picture. It's one of those motion pictures where you're like, I'm not even sure where the hell we are in the story in this thing anymore. But it doesn't make a difference. I'm just watching people interact, and that's all I care about. So the writing is what you need. The writing is what you get, and the writing is top notch. And finally, the acting. I just went through some of the names in this thing. So obviously you know you are getting top tier people. You know you are getting people that know how to read from a goddamn page and make it look good and make it feel good. So there's not even a question there. And then some of the minor characters in this thing, even people like Flea, who's just selling it as being one of the nihilists, which I didn't even mention in the story because it's so goddamn long and convoluted. And people like, whatever, the chick from Voices character who just shows her face for a second. Even the littlest characters, and I'm going to touch on all that in a moment, all deliver and all carry their parts. So acting-wise, this thing from top to bottom just delivers. It carries. It is what it is. So let's get down to what really makes this motion picture work. Why do you get engulfed in it? Why do you care? I mean, I said before, the story is just kind of like all over the goddamn place. And really, anything could have happened in this motion picture, and you wouldn't have cared. You would have watched it anyway, just based on the characters alone. So let's break down why you care about these characters. First is heart. Honestly, and I mean that on two levels. First, these people are friends. You know, when it comes to Donny and Walter and the dude, they're friends, and you love watching them interact. Plain and simple. It is what it is. Yes, they're always yelling at each other. Sometimes they don't really listen to each other, and they're often fighting with each other. But you know underneath it all, there's a lot of heart in there. These guys care about each other. They're friends. They'll do shit for each other. It's just the way it goes. So on top of all the zaniness going on, much like in like a Kevin Smith movie, where everything is about heart and real friendship underneath all the dirty fart jokes and dick humor, that's what you kind of got here. And you care about these characters because they're friends, because they have a great love for each other, and you can see that nonetheless. Also, the character of the dude is just hilarious. Everybody wants to know, or maybe slightly wants to be a guy like the dude, where just nothing really phases him. You know what I mean? Nothing really hits this guy. The craziest shit can take place, and 10 minutes after it was over, he's just like, well, man, that's just, it is what it is, man. He's that kind of guy. Life does not really bog or get him down. He just smoothly swims through it like a duck, and nothing really bothers him. If there's a rainstorm, if there's stormy seas, he just bobbles with it and keeps on moving. And whatever took place or whatever happened, 3 seconds after it's gone, it's kind of in the rearview mirror. He's not going to get all busted up unless it's about his rug. And that's just the way it is. So he's this fun character. He's unaffected by life and the world around him. And everybody loves a character like that. It's just how it goes. And that's one of the brilliant things about the writing in this motion picture, is that when you take the three friends together, I almost consider it like a Star Trek movie, to be brutally honest. I mean, really. Because like in Star Trek, you had the three main characters. You had Spock, McCoy, and you had Kirk. And they were like at different spectrums, and that's what these guys are. You know what I mean? You had McCoy in Star Trek. He was all about passion. And then you had Spock, who was all about logic. And you had Kirk trying to figure this shit out. In this one, you have the dude who's kind of just like, well, he's really laid back. He's not that emotional. And then you got Walter, who's everything he's fired up about. Everything is, it takes 3 seconds to see Walter go off the deep end about something and go on some kind of a fucking emotional psycho trip. And in the end, they're trying to put it all together with this little guy, Donny, in the background, just constantly asking questions. What happened? Where, huh? So it's literally like that kind of trifecta, that like triangle done over in a comedic way. But you get 3 different personalities trying to work shit out, and it's just interesting to watch in and of itself for that. And let's not forget, one of the things that makes any Coen flick kind of cool is the minor characters that pop up in this. Most movies, you have a minor character. You can kind of forget them. They're not really integral to the story, so you can kind of just like blow by them. But sometimes, and a lot of times in Coen movies, it's the minor characters you talked about. Look at a character like the Jesus in this thing, right? He has nothing really important to do with the story. Not at all. Not whatsoever. His character can be snipped out in the editing room, and it will make no fucking difference to this motion picture, to the story, to how it goes. But after that, half the people are talking about the Jesus, because they said, you see that scene with Turturro? That shit was funny as shit, and the way he's moving in the ring, and the whole fucking pinky nail, and the whole don't fuck with it. That kind of stuff. That's a minor character. That doesn't even need to be in the movie, but you walk away with him being one of the most memorable characters in the movie. And the reactions of people around him is what makes him memorable, but the performance and the writing do too. So they have that kind of a thing where they can take these little characters, whether they're nihilists, whether they're Jesus, even Smokey, for Christ's sake, and they will take them and you will remember them after the motion picture and say to yourself, oh, these are little characters that mean a lot, not for the story, but just about the impact that they have in the motion picture, which again goes back to my main point of this motion picture. You care about the situations and the conversations. The story is almost friggin' meaningless. By the time you're halfway through this story's bouncing all over the place, all over so much. You're just like, what? It almost feels like an excuse just to get the guys to go from point A to point B and hang out together and go on different little adventures so they can have different little conversations and you can see them in different interactions with themselves and with the general public. And that is what is the entertaining part. Nobody really gives a shit about remembering if Bunny was kidnapped or not in this motion picture. Really? No. Nobody cares about the little details like that. They just remember the scenes and who said what and how they said it and how was the other guy's reaction and the shit that took place. The overall story arc is basically inconsequential. And nobody cares. And mostly nobody fucking remembers. You remember scenes. And that's why to this day, you can go on YouTube and the counts for watching some of the scenes from the Big Lebowski will be huge because you can jump into this fucking thing anywhere. And you're like, I don't care what's going on. It doesn't make a difference to me what the story is. Whether this rich guy really had the money to get his porn star fucking wife out of some kidnapping plot that she wasn't even... It doesn't make a difference. You just want to see how these people act, react, and carry themselves in every situation that comes up. And for that alone, you'll watch this thing from beginning to end, and you'll laugh. And then at the end of the movie, when some people are talking to each other and saying, yeah, but did she really get... And did she... You don't care. Pretty amazing, huh? Anyway, everybody, get out there and watch The Big Lebowski if you haven't seen it already. It's hard to believe this motion picture is almost a quarter century old. Holy shit. I can't even... That just boggles my mind. It seems like yesterday this thing was released. And here we are talking about it like it's a golden oldie. Anyway, get out there, watch, and enjoy. But most of all, be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Be kind to a stranger. Be there for a friend. But most of all, never, and I mean ever, take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon, everyone.